There's no baseball being played today, which means that we have to hammer some WNBA bets. My name is Matt Modi with Jedi Modi Sports Betting, and I have 5 WNBA bets for you guys to hammer today. Real quick, before I get into these 5 picks, would appreciate it while you're here, if you're not already, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. And then for this video specifically, make sure to like and subscribe. Then I also urge you to check out the membership options that I have for my YouTube channel as well. It's the very first link in the description of the video, as well as the pinned comment. So if you're interested in becoming a Jedi in training, check that out. But let's get into these WNBA bets. So as I mentioned, I have 5 for you guys today. First up, we are going with the Liberty -8.5. That is at -110 odds at Fox Bet. Now, I don't really understand what Fox Bet is doing with this spread. So the spread opened at -9. Majority of books have it at 9, 9.5, 10. Even some of them have it at 10.5. Now, Fox Bet is asleep at the wheel, and they have this all the way at -8.5. So right off the bat, we're getting some value on this play at Fox Bet. Now, looking at this matchup in terms of just straight up pure talent, the Liberty are up there with the Aces as the most talented teams in the WNBA. Now, the Aces are by far the best team in the WNBA, but in terms of just raw talent alone, the Liberty are up there. They have Sabrina Ionescu, who is a stud. And then in the offseason, they brought over Brianna Stewart, who is also a stud, along with some other players. So, very talented team. And with that in mind, they have the second best net rating in the entire WNBA, only behind the Aces, who are just worlds above everybody else. The Aces are insane. And then looking a little bit further, the Liberty have the second best offense and the fourth best defense overall in terms of net rating. They're 13-4 on the year, while the Fever are 5-14. They have a negative 4.4 net rating. The Liberty being at home, I like the Liberty in this one to cover the 8.5-point spread as my first play. Next up, we are backing another favorite, and we are taking the Dream, Atlanta Dream, -7.5. This is at -110 odds at both Caesars and DraftKings. So this is another situation where we are getting some value. The line opened at 8. As of right now, the time of this recording, most books have this at 8 or 8.5. So again, as always, we're getting some value on this play. Now, the Dream are playing Seattle, and we mentioned how talented the Liberty are. Part of that talent on the Liberty is because Seattle lost Brianna Stewart from their team last year. Huge departure of talent on the Seattle side last year between Brianna Stewart and Sue Bird. So due to that talent loss, they are tied with the worst record in the WNBA, and they have the second worst net rating overall. So this play, don't necessarily think about it as a play because I like the Dream. It's more so just a fade of the Storm, especially with the Storm being on the road. And the Storm also just played yesterday as well, so they are on the second night of a back-to-back. So love the Dream in this one to cover the 7.5-point spread. Next up, third play of the evening, we are taking the Fever and Liberty game to go over 166.5. That is at -120 odds at BetMGM. So I mentioned this as my first play of the game. I like the Liberty to cover the spread. I also like this game to go over. So I left out some details in the first part because I wanted to mention it here. Part of the reason why I like the Liberty to cover the spread on this one is because the Fever are really poor, specifically defensively, on the road. They have the third worst defensive net rating in the WNBA on the road. And their home road splits, specifically on defense, are pretty stark. At home, they're middle of the pack. On the road, they're significantly worse. And the Liberty at home, on average, score just under 88 points per game. But against the poor defense and poor competition of the Fever, that should be up in the mid-90s. I wouldn't be surprised if they got to 100. The Fever also don't have a terrible offense on the road either. So while the Liberty are going to score 100 points, I wouldn't be surprised if the Fever got into the 90s. So cover both of the spread and this game going over. As my third pick, next up, we have the Wings first half money line -120 odds at DraftKings. So this is a play where I like the Wings overall in this game, but the best value was on their first half money line play. We're getting it on DraftKings at -120. Most books have this in the -130s, including Pinnacle, who I used as the sharp book. So again, another positive EV play here. And it makes sense why the Wings are favored, despite the fact that they are the road team. They have a positive net rating overall. They're the fifth best team in the WNBA, which is middle of the pack. I'm not saying they're great, but they're not terrible. And the Lynx are terrible, unfortunately, are one of the worst teams in the WNBA. They have the third worst. They're the third worst net rating in the WNBA at -5, and they don't get that much of an advantage at home. They go from -5 to -4.4 net rating at home. Still the third worst team in the WNBA at home specifically. So I like the Wings in this one. I like them straight up, but again, I mentioned the value was on the first half money line. So that's what we went with as my fourth pick. And last up, fifth pick of the evening. This one's admittedly the scariest. We are taking the Sparks plus 13.5, -110 odds at Fox Bet. Now, yes, this is horrifying. The Aces are incredible. I'm not going to say a single thing about why the Aces are not as good as their stats indicate, whatever that may be. The reason why I like this play, A, the Aces are on the second night of a back-to-back, and this game is being played in LA. Now, the Aces are good at home, away, on Mars, wherever. The Aces are good. But there is no team that has a bigger home road splits, than the Sparks do. At home, they're a pretty good team. They have a positive net rating, like +2, something like that, net rating at home. On the road, they're 2-7 on the year with a negative 10.2 net rating, which is second worst in the WNBA. So at home, they're respectable. They're a little bit above average. On the road, they are one of the worst teams in the WNBA. And all we're asking them to do at home is cover 13.5 points. So because of the fact that they're at home, because of the fact that the Aces are on the second night of a back-to-back, and they just walloped their game yesterday, they covered the 17.5 point spread yesterday. Maybe the Aces only win by 10 in this one, still winning, but we at least cash our Sparks spread. And that's all I got. 5 picks for you guys to lock in. If you are tailing, please comment and let me know. Other than that, as I mentioned, remember to like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, check out the membership options if you're interested in becoming a Jedi in training. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.